Alright guys, today we're going to talk about the preterite. The preterite is the past tense. Okay, so while you guys watch the video, make sure you guys take notes. What's underlined is the important part, so you'll have some things that you need to write down. I've numbered some things, so it should match up with your notes. Okay, some things you'll have to fill in, so you'll have to pause the video and fill that in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start, and it says, in order to talk about events in the past, Spanish uses two simple tenses, the preterite and the imperfect. In this lesson, you will learn how to form the preterite tense, and the preterite tense is used to express actions or states completed in the past. Okay, so for example, if I say, I ate cereal this morning. Okay, it's a completed action. It's something that's already happened, and it's done. It's over. And then later on, you guys are going to learn the imperfect, which is also past tense, but it has rules on when to use that. So make sure you guys study. Make sure you guys learn the preterite, and that way, whenever we get into the imperfect, it'll be easy for you guys. Okay. So moving on. These are the endings for preterite, and this is regular preterite. Okay, so for your AR, the yo form ends in E, the tu form ends in ASTE, usted, él, and ella end in O with an accent. Nosotros is AMOS, the same as in the present tense, so that's a plus. Then we skip vosotros, and we move on to ustedes, ellos, and ellas, which is ARON for AR verbs. For ER and IR verbs, they're exactly the same. Okay, so for the yo form, it ends in I with an accent. Same for IR, I with an accent. Tu is ISTE. El, ella, usted is IO. Nosotros is IMOS for both. This one's a little different for ER. And then we skip vosotros. And then the ending for ustedes, ellos, and ellas is IERON. Okay, so going back, I'll go over the pronunciation. For AR, you have yo compré, tú compraste, usted, él, ella compró, nosotros compramos, ustedes, ellos, ellas compraron. Then for ER, you have yo vendí, tú vendiste, usted, él, ella vendió, nosotros vendimos, ustedes, ellos, ellas vendieron. The same for IR, yo escribí, tú escribiste, usted, él, ella escribió, nosotros escribimos. Skip vosotros, and we have ustedes, ellos, ellas escribieron. Okay, so that you guys need to fill in your chart with the correct endings. Next, you guys see the yo and usted, el, ella forms of all three conjugations have written accents on the last syllable to show that it is stressed. So if we go back to the chart, notice that the yo, usted, él, ella on all of these are accented. Okay, it's a little more stressed. As the chart shows, the endings of regular ER and IR verbs are identical in the preterite. So like I said before, ER and IR verb endings are the same. Here's some examples. ¿Qué compraste? We know that because of ASTE, I'm asking you a question. What did you buy? Response, compré estos aretes. I bought or I purchased these earrings. Alright, so note that the nosotros forms of regular AR and IR verbs in the preterite are identical to the present tense forms. So basically all this is saying is what you learned in Spanish 1 for the AR and IR endings, it's the same endings for the preterite. Okay, so if you know those endings, you'll know the endings for the preterite. For AR and ER verbs that have a stem change in the present tense, do not have a stem change in the preterite. Okay, so if we look at this chart, remember that it'll tell you if it's a stem changer, E to IE, O to UE, and U to UE. All of these stem changed in the present tense. So what you learned in Spanish 1, all of these stem change. Okay, and remember it's only for AR and ER verbs. Okay, that's it. IR verbs are different. So AR, ER verbs, if they changed in the present tense, they no longer stem change in the preterite. So all you have to worry about is the ending. Okay, you don't have to worry about stem changing them. For IR verbs, so the IR verbs that have a stem change in the present tense also have a stem change in the preterite, in the él, ella, usted forms only. Okay, so it's only going to stem change in the él, ella, usted form. It's not going to stem change on the rest of them. So if you have an example that I gave you in the present tense, yo prefiero, it's stem changed. For the ella form in the preterite tense, it also stem changed. But if you look at it, it's a stem changer and it goes from E to I. Okay, and I'll give you guys a chart a little bit later with those stem changers to help you guys out. Alright, so verbs that end in car, gar, and zar have a spelling change in the yo form, okay, in the preterite. So if you guys look at the chart, car ends in a C, so we're going to change that C to a QU, okay, and then our ending over here, okay, it should be busque, right? Because of this sound, that's why we have to stem change. So if you guys remember the beginning of last year, CE or CI end up making the S sound. So we have to stem change the C to a QU to keep that K sound. Okay, so buscar changes to busque. Remember, only in the yo form. Then you have llegar. So the G changes to a GU, and it would be yo llegué. And then the Z changes to a C, and you have yo empecé. Okay, so all of these have a spelling change, but only in the yo form. Okay, all other forms stay the same. Okay, and there you guys see it. Except for the yo form, all other forms of car, gar, and zar are regular in the preterite. Alright, so these you guys need to write down because these are a little different. So you have 3 other verbs, creer, leer, and oír. Okay, they all have spelling changes in the preterite. The I of the verbs ending of creer, leer, and oír carries an accent in the yo, tú, nosotros forms and changes to Y in the usted, él, ella form and ustedes, ellos, ellas forms. Okay, one thing that I say to kind of help you remember these is I would usually tell my students, yo, tú, nosotros have I's, everything else has a Y. Okay, yo, tú, nosotros have I's, everything else has a Y. And for this form, this is the vosotros form, we don't do these. Okay, so you guys don't have to write those down. So again, remember, yo, tú, nosotros have I's, everything else has a Y. Okay? Yo, tú, nosotros have I's, everything else has a Y. Okay, so this one you might want to add, I left an additional page blank at the end of your notes section. You might want to write this verb down. So you have ver is regular in the preterite, but none of its forms has an accent. Okay, so these are the forms for ver. Okay, vi, viste, vio, vimos. We don't do vosotros. Ellos, ellas, ustedes is vieron. Okay, another thing that you guys might want to write down, it's not a might, I would. These are all key words. Anoche, anteayer, ayer, de repente, desde, hasta, pasado, el año pasado, la semana pasada, una vez, dos veces, ya. Okay, so I would write these down because whenever we start the imperfect, there's going to be a lesson where you guys have to compare the preterite versus the imperfect. And if you can memorize these keywords, then it'll definitely help you once we start the imperfect. Okay, so go ahead and I would add those to that extra page that I left for you guys. I would write those down just so you guys have them. Okay, and then you have this verb, which is acabar, de, plus an infinitive, is used to say that something has just occurred. Note that acabar is in the present tense in this construction. So even though it's in the present tense, it's still noting that something just happened. Okay, so acabo de comprar una falda. I just bought a skirt. Acabas de ir de compras. You just went shopping. And here's the construction that they talk about. So here's acabar, then de, and this is your infinitive. Okay, acabar, de, and your infinitive. Okay, and that's in that construction, in that form, is always saying that something just occurred. Alright, so you guys have a practice page in your notes section, and right now you can, in a few minutes, you can pause the video. You're going to complete that section, and then you can play the video, and then you can check your answers. Okay, so in the practice that you guys have in your notes, you guys need to use all the rules. Okay, so you have your regular preterite, that just the ending changes. You have your kargar and zar that have the spelling change. And then you have the three that the I is either an I or a Y. Okay, so just be careful when you're doing your practice. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and then complete your practice. And then you can push play again and then check your answers. Okay? Okay, so you guys should be finished with your practice, and the next slide is going to show you guys the answers, so go ahead and check your answers. You guys should have had ellas comieron, which was your example, ellas salieron, ellas comenzaron, and ellas leyeron. Okay, remember, hopefully you remembered, this is a zar, and this is either an I or a Y. Okay, so number 2, you should have had tú comiste, tú saliste, tú comenzaste, tú leíste. 3, usted comió, usted salió, usted comenzó, usted leyó. 4, nosotros comimos, nosotros salimos, nosotros comenzamos, nosotros leímos, yo comí, for number 5, sorry. Number 5 is yo comí, yo salí, yo comencé. Remember, this is a spelling change, so the Z changes to a C in this one. Okay, so hopefully you didn't miss that. Alright, and then the last one is yo leí. So again, if we remember that, yo, tú, nosotros have I's, everything else has a Y. Okay? So if you guys have any questions on this lesson, please let me know, reach out to me, and I will help you guys. Okay? So again, if you have any questions, send me a remind via email, anything, and we'll be doing more practice with this. So make sure that you guys memorize these endings. If you want to make a foldable like you guys did last year, you guys are more than welcome to make a foldable. You have the chart available to you, but if it's easier to have something that's hands-on, go ahead and use a chart to make yourself a foldable. Okay? Alright, and that's it for today.